We're live, John. Oh, hello. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hello, Holly. Hi, Will. Hi, Tilly. Hi, Flick. Hi, Woody. And everybody else. Hello. It's really nice of you to join me again. I thought today, again, we will start this session, which is for primary age children, just by having a quick look around the studio, and you can see what I've been working on and what I've been doing. But first, I thought we might just have a look at some of these colours that I've got here, and maybe see if you can spot what colours you like, huh? My particular favourites, well, they vary. You know, sometimes I really like this, which is called, it's a blue, but it's actually called teal. That's its name, teal. And I love orange. Look at that. That's a pyrrole orange. These are what they call fluid acrylic paints. Can you hear that? It's a bit like cream or yogurt. They're like that. And they're very high pigment and colourful. The colours I'm using at the moment, though, they're a bit gentler, a bit more spring-like. This one is called Titan Green Pale. And this one is one of my favourites. I bet you like it too. Co-op tomato sauce. No, I don't usually paint with that. I don't know how that got in there. So here's what I've been working on this week in my studio. Here's my studio. There's Albert the dog, who's just rearranging the sofa cushions. Say hello, Albert. These are the paintings I'm working on at the moment, which are a series of spring-inspired paintings, and they're actually painted on top of some very dark winter ones that I'd done, and then I just felt like I needed these nice spring colours. And can you see this black here? Well, that's something called, let me show you now, that's charcoal. Do you see? That's charcoal, and that is from, here's some we actually made earlier, Mr. Lovely and I. Look, these are burnt bits of twig. They're willow twig. They're a particular type of tree. And when you burn it, it doesn't burn right through, but it makes charcoal like this. And then, here it is in a big stick. Can you see? You know, like I teach you with chalk that you can rub it off. Well, I use this. This is a black. See, like that. There it is. You can put your line on how you want it. And then if it's not where you want it, you get your baby wipe, don't you, or your wet cloth, and then wipe it off. So I've actually put on these 3 paintings here, just some charcoal lines, and I'll be painting some sticks, some branches and some little blossom on those later. Here is the little blossom that I'm using. It's something called blackthorn or sloe. But can you see how beautiful those little blossoms are? Early spring blossoms. And what about those? Aren't they gorgeous? Daffodils, spring flowers, beautiful. Right, today though, I thought we'd take a trip back to the beach again and do a sea-themed painting, yes. But first I just want to mention a couple of hashtags that mums and dads and teachers might be interested in. The first is one that I'm going to be taking part in. It's a new one that's going round on Facebook and Instagram, and it's called Open Windows 2020. Because at Artists, we do something called Open Studios, where we invite people into our homes and studios for them to look at the artwork that we do. But we're not doing that, obviously, right now. So a lot of artists are getting together using the hashtag Open Windows 2020. And we'll be putting art in our windows that are facing the roads and streets. So you lot could join in that as well. You could all put your art up there. And mums and dads, if they're walking past, they can look and see what's going on. The other thing I just wanted to mention, and I'll say it now and then I'll tell you again at the end, and this is for adults, is on a Monday night at 6 o'clock, I'd like you to join me in the studio here. And I am just going to be painting my paintings. I'm just going to be talking to you on my laptop here. Glass of wine. If you want to come and join along and paint with me, that'd be great. Bring your paints, we can have a play. Also, if you just want to join me and have a chat, that'll be good as well. Going on Facebook to start with, but I'm going to put it on Zoom because I've got a nice account with Zoom. So you'll actually be able to talk to me and ask me questions That's going to be for an hour each Monday at 6. Right, let's get on with some painting then, shall we? Yeah. I'm just going to see if I can find you on here. Let me just update. So I've got Mr. Lovely behind camera again today. John's been, he's been a bit bored this morning, haven't you, John? So you've been doing some origami, haven't you?
Yes, miss.
Shall we show the children what you've done?
Origami?
It was going so well.
I'm only learning.
I think you've done really well, John. What is it?
It's a swan.
Shall I rest it in here? Right, let me just see if I can see where... Oh, there we are. Great. Hello, everyone. Hi, I can see you. Yep. Can you just have a little film on here? So we're a little bit behind, as you can see, in this real life. But if you have any questions, I'll try and see if they pop up. I don't know if I'll be able to see them like this. The other thing is we had a little problem with uploading or filming on Wednesday's session. It kept jumping in and out, the signal kept going, so we're actually doing this on a mobile signal today. So let me know if you can see it all right and hear it all right. That's helpful. Click to expand maybe. Oh. We're actually doing this on a mobile signal today. So I can see you. Hi Nicola, hi Katie. Hi Kate. I just turned my volume up. There we go. There we are. Hi Melanie. I can actually see your comments here, so that's good. Right then. So here we are. Quick recap for those of you who haven't watched previous videos. I really like to, when I'm painting myself and when I'm painting with children, use cardboard. It's tough, you know, it's thick, it's cheap. And it's quite forgiving. You can get quite a few layers of paint on there. It's also quite nice because one of the things I like to use a lot of, as you've seen if you've watched the previous ones, is chalk. And when you're chalking on cardboard, just with white chalk, you can really see it well. You know, if you're chalking on a canvas or chalking on paper, you would not see that so well. So what you need then is your cardboard and some chalk, or you could have a bit of wood. Wood's very nice. I quite often paint on this stuff. Plywood, especially for bigger pieces. It's very nice because that's very stable. So if you've got any of that around as well, that's good for painting on. The only thing I wouldn't recommend painting on, funnily enough, is paper. It buckles, you know, if you get water on it, it all bends up, and if you press on it too hard with your pen, you can go through it. Whereas cardboard, you know, it's a lot tougher, and wood is even tougher. So the other thing that you should grab to hand is the baby wipe. Now baby wipes, when you have used them for something like wiping off the chalk there, just wash them out. Now just dip them in your pot of water. Don't worry about don't throw them away, just keep washing them. They'll last you quite a while. I'm moving my tea over there so that I don't accidentally dip my brush in the tea. So we've got baby wipes, we've got chalk, we've got brushes. Hi Cheryl. Hey Nicola, another one. Hiya Sarah, hello. Right, the colours then. As usual, yeah, we're just sticking to these, what they call the primary colours here. So by that I mean blue, yellow, any yellow, and red. Yep, and a black and white. And I showed you before, I think. The set that I buy with these paints in, this is my own little art shop here, but of course we're not open at the moment. But these are just a little set with De La Rowney. There we are, they're system 3, and you get a yellow, a red, a blue, and then you get a different yellow as well, and a black and white. These are not expensive, and these are the acrylic paints that I recommend for children and beginners. Right then. Which way up shall we use this? Like that way today, don't you? Yeah? Okay. Right, so we're going to do a sea scene today, and we're going to use all those basic shapes that I've been talking about in the previous classes. Do you remember? Where's that gone? I had it hand a minute ago. On the back of, there it is. Yeah. So, you know, did you see when we did the earlier class, when we did the Albert frolic in there? With his sausage-shaped body, wasn't he, and a triangle head, triangle ears, and the seagull was a triangle with a circle, and two parallelogram rectangles for wings, and then these were just lines, weren't they? So we're going to use those similar shapes again, but to do a sea scene today. So let's start. Let's start with putting a line where we want our horizon to be, yeah? That means where the top of the sea is going to come, yeah, and where the sky is going to start. So you can have that any way you like, you just choose your place. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to change my mind and I'm going to do it that way up. So this is going to be my sea under here. So again, those of you who've watched before will know that I don't like to put the paints out because I don't want to waste them. With acrylic paints, they dry quite quickly, so it's always better just to either put them on your brush and then put them onto the cardboard, or to do it like this. And if you haven't got an easel, you know, don't worry, just do it flat, but if you can do it standing up, it's always better to paint standing up. Two reasons for that. One is that you can actually step aside when you want to, go and stroke the dog. Oh, puppy. Yeah. But you can also see from a distance what your painting is looking like. Because when we sit down and paint, we're only seeing it from really close up like that, and we tend to be then bent over as well, you know, we can't breathe very well, and if we can't breathe very well, we don't get air and oxygen into our lungs, and our brain can't work very well. So when you actually see a painting on the wall, you know, like this one, you only ever see it from a distance of, you know, maybe 2 or 3 meters, you know, and you can actually see then whether the painting's working. So that's why I like to work standing up. So that was a bit of blue and white there. Just going to put that on and look with a nice, quite a big brush there, almost like a decorator's brush, this one. So you might want to have a look in your mum or dad's toolkit, see if they've got any big brushes in there that they might be painting the walls with. You could maybe use those. They're a lot better than the small brushes that you tend to buy. This would be way too small for what I want to do at the moment. Could you imagine how long it would take me to do that? With a bigger brush you get nicer lines, don't you? Look at that. So I'm just putting a little bit of water on that brush as well, because the paint's drying a little bit. There we go. So what you'll see here, can you see I'm not mixing the colours all in together, am I? I'm just putting the paint on and letting the water run a little bit into it. But I'm not mixing the blue and white all together. I'm leaving bits that are blue, bits that are white. And I'm leaving bits where the cardboard's creased. That's actually making quite nice lines there, isn't it? Can you see those? So that's the sea done. I'm now going to do the sky. So apologies if I'm repeating myself a bit here from previous videos, but with these acrylic paints, when they're dry, they're completely waterproof. And you can then draw on top of anything like this. So that's completely waterproof there. So if I wanted to, I could then paint over what's underneath and it would disappear. If I decided that I didn't want seagulls in that picture, I just paint over it. That's because the acrylic paint, once it's dry, like I said, is completely waterproof, which is wonderful. It's so good for children to work with these paints, although you have to be careful because once they are dry, like on this apron, have I got paint on my nose? You didn't tell me. Just there. Haven't I?
No, it might be a bogey.
Say that B word. Can't get the staff. these days. Because, you know, working in this way, you just feel like, you know, you can't make a mistake. It's good. You can feel a lot freer with your creativity. Okay, so what I'm going to do here then for the sky. So really, essentially, what I'm doing is a background here. Right, so I've just randomly put a bit of white on there. And I think I'm just going to put in a nice little bit of pink. So I'm just squidging that out. Oh, look at that spider. I've got a little money spider on me, isn't it cute? A little bit of pink there onto my brush. Come on, little spider. Off you go. There we are. Wow, look at that. You see, because I had a bit of blue on my brush already, didn't I? And I've just put a little bit of pink on. That's making a really delicate violet colour. Just going to put a little bit of white into that as well. Make some nice bright sky there. So what we've done there is we've used mainly white for the sky, but because our brush wasn't clean, it's just picked up those little bits of blue and pink that were in the brush, and that makes it just a little bit more interesting, that sky. Right. So that's going on there. Now, what I've said before about when you're painting things, when you're painting sea there or when you're painting sky, the ideal thing to be able to do is to close your eyes and imagine what the sky feels like, yeah? How big and how expansive that is, yeah? And how fluffy the clouds are. So, and then paint that. Make your brush move in a way, you know, that feels fluffy and big, yeah? I just put a little bit of water on my brush there because the paint was getting dry because it's warm in here today. Got the fire lit. Look, fluffy. I'm just thinking fluffy. Thinking fluffy. And that gives it, you know, without any real effort then, you get like a cloud fluffy feeling to it. There we are, a bit more in here. Yeah, bring that right down there. Okay, and then what I'll do with this, a little bit of paint on there, so I'll just clean that off. Yeah, and then if you are using acrylic paints, get most of the paint off like that on your baby wipe and then stand it in some water there. Okay, so I've got 2 pots of water. I've got one for standing the brushes in that I've used that are dirty, and one that's clean water for mixing in with my paint. Okay, right. I'm just going to dry this off with a hairdryer. Because the acrylic paint dries by evaporation, that means the water comes out of the paint and leaves a dry surface. And that will happen in about 20 minutes if I just left it, but that would be a long time to wait, so I'll just do it with my best hairdryer. Always ask your mum and dad's permission before you use theirs, otherwise it might end up like this. And you might get into trouble. Right, hi Jesper! I will. Look, it's nice to see you all here. Hey, Peter and Jesper. Oh, and Suzanne. Hey. Right. Has she finished with that yet? Yeah, good. So I'm going to get my chalk again. Now, pink chalk's going to be useful for this, isn't it? Because I've got a lot of blue sky there. Yep, and so if I did white chalk on it, wouldn't really see it, so pink one's going to be good for that. I'm going to do some of those seagulls in the sky here. Then I'm going to do some nice jolly sailing ships here. You would just have a fin, wouldn't you, maybe? You could still have a fin if you want, but you just said fins are boring, didn't you? Well, you could have the whole fish. So, oh, maybe we'll start with doing the fish then, shall we? Yeah, I'm just going to rub the fins off there. See, that's now really dry, so I can do what I like with the chalk on there, and then I can just gently wipe that off, you see. If you were using watercolour paint, you could do it, but you'd have to be really careful, and it would be a lot harder. So, but acrylic, because it dries with a plastic surface like that, a lot better. Right, so fish then. Let's look at these shapes. Now then, what shape would be a good shape for a fish, do you think? I don't know if a square would be. Certainly jellyfish, circle, isn't it? We could use that. And I think we could certainly use this, you know, like an oval shape, like that shape, yeah. Maybe we could use this like a diamond shape as well. That could make quite a good fish, couldn't it? Let's have a go with that one. Right. So that's like an elongated square shape. Can you see it? It's like this shape here. Yeah. And then what we could do with that, we could put a triangle on the end. Yeah. And then we could have two circles for our eyes there. How does that look? That's looking like an interesting fish, isn't it? Yeah. And let me see, this is my usual fish shape. This is called a semicircle, so it's half a circle. Semi means half, so it's half a circle. So I would just do a half a circle like that, and then a little triangle. So for those of you who've watched some of these previous lessons, you'll know that this is what I'm really keen on, just using these basic shapes, yeah? A circle, a squashed circle, a triangle, a jelly bean sort of sausage shape, a rectangle, a semicircle, a square, and a parallelogram, which is a rectangle that's bending to its side, or like a diamond shape as well, like a kite shape. And I think that anything that you can draw would want to draw, you know, all the flowers, all the houses in these paintings, all the boats, you know. Here's these fish, can you see them there on this painting? There, look, can you see? That's like a semicircle there, isn't it? And a triangle, semicircle and a triangle. And yep, that's a big finished painting, what they call an original painting, and it's for sale, Mum and Dad's. But because it's done of plastic like this, you see, in the acrylics, even though I've drawn on it like that, yeah, it doesn't matter because that can just come straight off. Because that's completely dry underneath. It's such a forgiving paint to work with, wonderful. Right, let's put a little shot of these fishes in. Check on that time, that's good. You could do as many of these as you like, can't you, those fish? Yeah, there we go. They're all done. Yeah. So what I do then, grab a brush. This is a flat one. It's called an angle brush, this one is. Can you see that? It's not only is it flat, but it's also been cut at an angle, and that just means you can do some really nice lines with it. I'll show you now. A little bit of water on my brush. A little bit of black paint. Again, I'm not going to squidge it out because black, honestly, you only ever need the tiniest little bit of it. It's very powerful. And then I'm just going to do, can you see, even though that's a flat brush, because I'm using it on its side like that, I'm getting a nice line, aren't I? And I'm not worrying at all about staying in the lines or being neat. I think it's quite nice just to be a little unneat, you know, and sometimes let the lines go where they want to go. How's that looking? Do his eyes as well. That one, that one, that one. I'm going to let those black lines dry, because if I colour that in before the black's dry, the black will smudge into the colour, and then that will cause the colours to become not so bright, you know, all sort of dull. Yeah. And in the meantime then, I'm going to get my chalk and we'll do those sailing boats, yeah? So, semicircle, yeah? So more or less just on top of the water, wherever you want to put it. That's a semicircle, yeah? But if it helps, just draw yourself a circle to start with and then just cut it in half. That's probably an easier way. Another one there. And then what we do is we rub off the top of those circles, there we go. And we're left with 3 nice semicircles, yeah? And then we'll put a big stick onto each one of those, just a big line, yeah? Okay? And then a triangle on that side. Can you see how that makes a triangle? Just those 2 lines onto that stick. And then another triangle there. Another triangle. There we go. And another one there. And then extend that stick a little bit. Another triangle to make little flags. What about those? Yeah. Going the same way with that. It's looking good. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with them. So a little bit of, just a little bit of black paint onto there. And I'm just going to outline those. See, with the chalk now, if I'd decided, wow, that one, I think I'll only have 2 boats, you know, I could just wipe that off. And this makes being creative a lot easier, you know, because you can really just feel free to play, you know, you're not going to get it wrong, you know, you can then put it back on. You can decide then, does that look right, you know, how many do I need, where do I want it? It's very liberating to work this way, but I will draw another one on there, just the same. There it is. What do you mean? Cut. There we go. Now, I don't know how you feel about painting kiddies, but when I'm painting like this is my happy place. I just get completely absorbed in it, you know, and it just makes me feel like a big smile inside, you know, in my tummy there. It really makes me happy. And it makes me even happier when I don't worry about what it's going to look like, you know. If I'm just painting for myself, for the pleasure of it, just to enjoy what the paint feels like going onto the canvas like this, that's the best thing. You know, I'm not thinking this is going to be the best painting ever, because it won't be. There's always going to be somebody whose painting is better. All I'm painting for is just to feel good, just to make myself feel happy about what's going on there. Okay, so as soon as I start to think, ooh, that's no good, or I could do better than that, or as soon as I start to make my face wrinkly like that because I'm not happy, I'll stop and I'll think, oh, hang on a minute, let me just colour something in a happier colour, or let me do something a bit different. Look, I've got a hole in my canvas here. Can you see a hole in my cardboard? But that's going to be okay because I'm going to make that a nice big bright sunshine. Yeah, like that. Wow, look at that. Nice sunny day at the sea, watching the boats go by. But it wouldn't be complete, would it, this, without a seagull in the sky, do you think? Yeah. So here we go. Seagulls then, right, we've got a triangle. Can you see him? And I'm not worried about going over that line. There's a circle for his head. Triangle's his body. That's his beak, just a little stick. 2 more sticks for his legs. Triangle for his feet. You know, the seagulls have those really, really amazing feet, don't they? How do they even walk? Have you seen them? Great big yellow feet. And then 2 little rectangles just stuck on the side. Can you see that rectangle shape there? Yeah. Don't worry about where these lines join at all, because when you colour those in, there we are, you'll get rid of all those bits in between, and I'll show you that now. Right, A little bit more black paint again then. Just going to do the outline. So there's the wing. Yeah. So I'm just going to go down to where that rectangle joined the triangle. Yeah. Just go around the whole outside of that. There it is. Beak. Yeah. Stick legs. Feet. Massive webbed feet, that's what they're called, because seagulls spend a lot of time swimming, don't they? Sitting on top of the sea as well. And of course, no seagull is complete without... What have I missed off this seagull apart from its eyes? There we are. Yeah. It needs a chip in its mouth, doesn't it?
Probably one of my chips that it's clinched.
Yes. Let's just draw, put a bit of black there as well. Right. Now, this is the fun bit, yeah? I'm just going to see anybody got any questions. Back on. Sound's gone funny and back on. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. And maybe it's you need to be a bit closer for the sound. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, you haven't got your hand over. You didn't have your hand over the bottom. We're not very experienced at this yet, are we? I'm going to be trying to put together, as per people's request, a YouTube channel with all these on. But for now, they're all available. This is the 6th lesson. They're all available on this Facebook site or at my website, at the GWYC little tag on my website. That just asks you to sign up, and I send you the link then to that. And there's all these lessons there, and a whole load of other stuff as well that's free for you all at the moment. There, so I'm just using white out of the tube here, acrylic paint. And can you see how that covers up what's behind? That's because this paint's what they call opaque, which means it covers everything up. You can't see through it. Unlike a window, which is very transparent, that's the opposite of opaque. Seagull wants to be white as well. Now look what's happening to that chalk in there as well. That's just disappearing, isn't it, when I paint on it? Oh, that's what happens when the black's not quite dry, this bit here. But that's quite nice. That's okay. So now those shapes, they've all disappeared, haven't they? They've all blended into one there. Right, I don't think I need any more white. Let's go on to the next colour. Let's have some yellow. Yeah. So I did just give my brush a little quick wash there. There we go. Lovely, isn't it? That's bright. I like that. Yeah. And then while we've got the yellow, we'll look around and see what else might be yellow that we want to paint. So the seagull's beak and its feet. What do they call seagull's feet?
Seagull's feet. Flippers.
Flippers? Oh. What do they call normal birds' feet? Claws. John usually talks all the time, but when he's behind the camera, he's quiet. Go. Nice one yellow boat. Yeah. Also mix the colours, can't you? So I'm just using the yellow, the red and the blue, and if I mix the yellow onto there like that, yellow with that blue, and of course that then is going to make a lovely green. So as we said before, these are called primary colours because with these colours that yellow, the blue and the red, these processed primary colours, you can actually make any colour you like, a bit like the printers you might have at home. They just have those 3 ink colours in. Now while I've got green in there, let's just put a little bit in the sea, shall we? Because sometimes, you know, the sea can look quite nice, can't it, with greens there. Yeah. Right, now then, fish time. This is where you get to do exactly what you want and just colour them in. You know, you could do little spots. That same brush that I'm using, can you see? But I'm just using the very tip of it there. So you don't need a lot of brushes. You know, 2 brushes that I've used today, isn't it? This one and that one. These ones you could probably find in your mum or dad's shed. And this one, you might have something like that. Yeah. Okay, so we've got some spotty yellow fish. And this fish, I'm just going to clean my brush on there and then put a little bit of red on as well. You can just do as many fish as you like. And that is the beauty of painting, isn't it? You know, you can decide what you want to paint. And like we were saying, you know, the difference between a painting and a photograph wouldn't really show you what's underneath the sea there, would it? But with a painting, you can decide, you can make it up, you can tell your own story. What do you think people were saying, you know, when they... Do you remember, or have you heard about something called Neanderthal people? They were people who lived millions of years ago, hundreds of thousands, a long time ago. And yeah, a long time, a good history teacher. And they lived generally, they were in caves, you know, to shelter. They didn't have houses or anything. They wore like animal skins, you know, and they hunted animals and they ate berries and things off trees. And they lived in caves and they lit fires in the caves to keep them warm. And with this, exactly this stuff from the fire that had burnt, charcoal like this, they drew things on the cave walls. They drew things like buffalo that they were chasing, you know, animals that they'd seen. But what were they saying? Was that a story they were writing, they were making up? Were they telling stories, or were they feeling the animal? Were they feeling the presence of that animal there, you know? So, going back to these, let's just put some more detail on here. So, do some blue flags. You know, you can do what you want on these boats. Make them as lovely as you like with the decoration, yeah? Okay. And in the sea as well, you can put more waves if you want to. Okay. Just put some more lines of white in there, wiggly line. Yeah, got that. And maybe some little splashes of water there, where the boats are going through the water. Yeah. Right. Bit of pink here. Art's been around as long as people have. It's quite an essential part of life in some ways. But yes, interesting question to think about and maybe talk about is what's art for? What's the purpose of art? Why make art? You know, what does it do? Is it useful? Is art useful? It's a good question, isn't it? It's a good question. Right, one last little thing, and this is where I've used a tiny little bit of black. And we're doing really well with the time. We've got 5 minutes. So again, look, when I use a bit of black, really, it's just the tiny little bits there. Oh. Okay, so what I'm going to do, whenever I paint anything like this, like the boats especially, if you use the tiniest little bit of black just to put a little bit of shadow underneath there, can you see how I'm just scrubbing that there? Like that. There we go. Just scrubbing that on there. That makes a little shadow there, doesn't it? And you can do a little bit under the boat there as well. That makes a little bit of shadow. And that's it makes it look 3D, you know. If you looked at anything, you know, like, it's difficult in here, but if you look at most objects, you know, like an apple, people would generally look at an apple, or maybe this cup of tea here, or this. If you squint at it, if you go like this with your eyes, squint, like that, yeah, really skew your eyes up, you'll be able to see where the lighter bits are and the darker bits. Shadows the darker bits tend to be at the bottom of things because there's less light reaches down to that. So if you can put a little bit of shadow on there, it'll make it look like the boat has weight and it's solid and it's there. Right, now then, I just want to share one little artist secret to finish this painting off, okay? And it is over here. It's one of my favourite paints, it's this one. In my mind, no painting is complete without a bit of glitter. Now this is really, look at that, how nice is that? I just put this on my finger, but I like to put a little bit of, I like to put a little bit of glitter in my sea paintings, look. Yeah, this is a glitter paint, which is just really easy to use. And I put it on my finger because my finger's easier to wash than the brush with this on. This one I think it's lost its label, but it really is like, it was a, you know, $1.99 children's one from the range somewhere like that. But this is the one that I use. I don't know if you can see close up on there as well. It's all in the sea on there. Can you see? On the sea on there. Yeah. So one last little bit then, and we're just about done with that. And that's with the same brush again. Tiny bit of white there, and I'm just going to do some little spots just to suggest a bit of movement and a little bit of surface on the waves, yeah. And you can do some little bubbles coming up from the fish, or maybe some little bubbles behind them where they're moving through the water, yeah. Remember what I said about when you're drawing or painting something like the fish or the boats, try and just take a moment, close your eyes and really imagine what a fish might feel like going through the water, yeah? And in that way you'll actually paint it like that with that energy in it, and it'll really bring your paintings to life. So, hope you enjoyed that. If you would, share what you're doing, that would be really lovely. You know, we can put that on my page there, or comment. I'd love to hear your comments. That's that painting done for today. I'll just pop that there. I'm getting quite a nice little collection here. Can I just mention again, this is a new hashtag that we're doing as artists, Open Windows 2020. So artists are going to be putting paintings in their windows, you know, for people to look at, and we'll be changing those regularly, so it'll be like, almost like coming into the studio, but you'll see them in the windows of artists' houses. Anybody can join that. Use that hashtag. Look it up on Facebook as well. Open Windows 2020. You can see all these details, everything that's going on at Helen Elliott Art on Instagram or Facebook. And on Monday nights, then at 6 o'clock for adults, yeah, join me for a glass of wine or a cup of tea and a bit of chat from the studio, and I'll be painting on one of my bigger pictures there. And I'll see little ones again next Wednesday at 3 and next Friday at 3. Let me know if you've got any questions or if there's anything that you'd like to see me painting. Great. Thanks for joining me again, and thanks John for filming. It's really good of you. See y'all soon. Lots of love. Bye.